I'm David Wood. I have been in gyms for 4 years, around almost 4 years. Before that, I was a furniture maker. There were just two of us. We made sort of one-off pieces for a few interior designers and a few of the boutique builders in the Toorak area. And just got sick of leaning over a workbench, got a bit tired of it, and my passion sort of wore off. So I was looking for something different and interesting where I could still be creative. And I like the idea of gardening because it's something you can do where you can really see the results. You can sort of, even if it's just a mow, you can really look back at the end of a mow and you've made a huge difference. And then obviously it goes on to garden cleanups and landscaping and that sort of thing as well. So that's what sort of drew me towards gyms. When I started gyms, it was I started off with basically just mowing lawns. I was also looking around for anything I could do to add value to properties. So I looked around at cleaning people's decks, high pressure cleaning gutters, pruning. I've got a pretty straight eye from my furniture days, so so pruning was a big part of it. Pruning hedges and getting things looking square and neat was good. Great visual impact on that as well. And then moving more into landscaping as my confidence grew. I also did the gyms course, so that because knowledge is power, and did the gyms course, and so that I could stretch my business more into the landscaping side of things and become more confident in that. And then I just started sort of stretching more and more into things that I was uncomfortable with, and getting better and better at them. And now that's a big part of my business, is the landscaping side of things.
Now, we don't know much about the gym's landscaping course. Is that voluntary or is it?
No, it's a course run by Kangan TAFE. It's every Tuesday night for a year. It's a Certificate 2 in landscaping, and it gives you a really good basic idea of how to build retaining walls, how to pave. It gives you a good idea on plant knowledge. And just runs you through what I did with it is I'd spend the week saving up questions. So everything I wanted to know about, I'd write down. And then when I went in on a Tuesday night, I'd just ask the lecturers questions. For me, it was, I wasn't really that interested in the piece of paper, but I was really interested in the knowledge. So I just used it. I used that year to learn as much as I could.
Can you give me a bit more of a detailed rundown of those things and how you continue to challenge yourself?
It's about stretching the boundaries. It's about stepping forward instead of backwards. There's a lot of times where you'd look at something and think, I really can't do that. But find a way to have a go. You do need to be confident in what you do, but it also, you really do have to step outside the comfort zone as well in order to make your business more diverse. And I kind of feel like if you've just got a mowing business, then things like winter will be really hard. But if you've got a very diverse business, if you do everything from landscaping to pruning to high pressure cleaning, gutter cleaning, deck building, all that sort of stuff, then winter's a great time because the pressure's off the gardening and it gives you an opportunity to get more into the things that are more creative and a bit more fun. I started my business in around Christmas 2010, and it was one of the most humid summers we'd ever had, and things were just growing absolutely nuts. So I just turned my leads on 4 or 5 suburbs, and because I was getting double leads because I was new, I spent that 3 months getting, maybe, if you had your leads on, you could get 4 leads a day. It was absolutely crazy. So I spent that time getting rid of all of the rubbish at the bottom, all of the dog crap mows that I bought, all of the people who were difficult that I didn't like, and just bringing in new people at the top. And another advantage in having a business you build yourself is that people don't know that you're new. They believe that you've been doing it for a while and they're confident in you, whereas people you buy tend to take a little while to be comfortable with you. So for me, it was, because those leads were flowing so thick and fast, I just used that first 6 months. By winter, I had almost a completely new business with 90 really good regulars and and there were maybe 30 or 40 people who would just use me sort of, 2 or 3 times a year. So heading into winter, I already had that. So I had a good pool of people who had sort of trust in me to clean their gutters and to clean their decks and to look at things I could do during winter while the garden slowed down. So it was a really good opportunity to build a bulletproof business. And that's what I would suggest, is just constantly have a bottom 10 and constantly leave your leads on and bring in new business at the top. Get rid of the stuff you don't like at the bottom, even if it's someone you don't like, even if you can't put your finger on why you don't like it. If you are lying in bed in the morning thinking, oh, I've got to go to that job again today, then get rid of it. Put it at the bottom of the list, and when you get someone to replace it, just move it on. That would be my advice. The gym system's there to constantly renew your business. That's the idea. So that's what you should use it for. I have this thing, I discovered it about 3 months into gyms. I discovered that I have this thing called a quoting mojo, and it's like it's a confidence in quoting, and if it gets smacked around, then your confidence is down, and if it doesn't get smacked around, then your confidence is quite good. And you can have 10 really successful quotes, and then one bad one, and that one bad one can affect your confidence in a way that can have you questioning your worth. And that's exactly what those people are trying to do. They're trying to, it may not even be intentional, but they're trying to question your worth. And you need to protect your quoting mojo. You need to look after it. You need to polish it every night. You need to make sure it's shiny. Because if you get 2 or 3 of those in a week, then it will affect your quoting confidence, and you'll go into quoting situations feeling not confident. And customers can sense that, and when they sense that, they lose their confidence in you. So I developed a few simple tricks to avoid them beating your quoting mojo around, and that. The main one is the 30-second rule. If you go into a situation where you feel someone is about to get stuck into your quoting mojo, they're about to question your value, then get out of there. You've got 30 seconds to be driving. So I usually, if you enter into conversation, if they say, gee, that sounds expensive, if I enter into a conversation and say, well, then their next move is to start laying the boots in. And you don't want that, so you need to get out of there. So if they say, gee, that sounds expensive, you hand them your card and you say, that's my price, give me a call if you're interested. You walk down the driveway, jump in your car and get moving. And you're better off missing that job and keeping your quoting mojo intact and confident for the next one than you are in engaging and coming up with a cheaper price and having them convince you that you're worth less than you are. Yeah, there's a lot of people who, a big part of the joy of gyms is servicing machinery. They tinker over things on the weekend, and they sharpen their own stuff and things like that. For me, it's just about billable hours. So I, as much as I can, I might change my blades, but generally speaking, I just drop stuff at the mower shop. They repair things cheaper than my hourly rate. So that's my approach, is to just stay out there doing what I do best and getting my billable hours up and leaving that sort of stuff to other people.
What's the next step?
Oh, gee, I'd like to explore landscaping more. For me, I've renovated a few houses over the years, and I really like sort of pulling out the old and replacing it with the new. It's just something that really interests me, and I like doing big things. I'm not at a stage where I'm doing huge landscaping jobs, but and I don't even know if I want to go there. Every business has its sweet spot, and there are a lot of sweet spots in business, and somewhere in there is a sweet spot. It might be your $15,000 jobs. It might be $5,000 jobs. I haven't quite sort of nutted it down. But I do love the landscaping side of things. That's definitely the thing I'm most passionate about, and that's the part of the business I'd like to grow the most. becoming a franchisor is something I would definitely think about. I don't know enough about it. I don't know whether it's something that would take me away from the part of gyms I'm really enjoying at the moment. There's a lot about that that I just don't know anything about, but definitely something that interests me. I think the worst thing you can do for your business is turn your leads off because you're out doing work you don't enjoy. So saying, "Oh look, I'm so busy doing this crap work that I can't turn my leads on." And there seems to be. I've had conversations with people where they might be complaining about the work they're doing, the customers they're working for, and you ask them if their leads are on, and they say no, they're too busy. And I think that there's certain times of the year when the leads are running, and when they're really running, you need to leave them on, regardless of how big or how good your business is. You need to turn your leads on, and you need to get rid of that bottom 10 off your regular list, and you need to bring in 10 new ones. There's always room for improvement. I can remember being at a meeting about 6 months into gyms and having a conversation with someone who told me that they had sacked one of the people they'd bought, and they'd been in gyms longer than I had, and I was shocked because I'd sacked 50 people. I'd got rid of 50 people that I'd purchased, and I had no emotional connection with them. I think in business you have to look at where you are and forget about what you've spent. That money's spent, it's gone, it's not coming back. It would be a shame to be doing a mow you paid $500 for that's covered in dog crap because you're emotional about the $500. If there's a better way forward, let it go. You've got to always look at where you are and find the best way forward and try and be unemotional about everything that's behind you, including the money you've spent on things. Because my business, had I kept that core of people that I'd spent all that money on, then I would have headed into winter very, very miserable. But instead I ended up with a very good, solid business. And now I think 4 years on, I think I've still got one of the clients I bought, and that's it. That was there was one that I felt for me was worth keeping. Everyone else has fallen by the wayside. If there are people that I felt belonged in the gym system, they were good people, but I just for some reason I didn't want to do their mows, then I'd give them away to other franchisees who were closer to them or who I thought would suit them better. But if I didn't think they belonged in the gym system, if they were after someone who was very subordinate to them, then I'd just tell them to look in the back of the paper, and I'd get them out of the system. Yeah. So as far as keeping people in the gym system or moving them on, I guess it's about keeping people who get that Australia is a place where you do pay a lot for service, so people who belong in the system. People who think that you should be working for $15 an hour are people who don't belong in the system. So if I can't have an equal relationship with my clients, then I move them on. If they feel that I am in some way subordinate to them, then I tend to move them on pretty quickly, because it's not good for my confidence. It's not good being spoken down to. You need to. And if you come into a situation as a professional, I'm providing you with a service, and you're going to pay me for that service, and it's as simple as that. Then people tend not to be that way. If you go into a situation where you're not confident and people lose their confidence in you, then they do treat you less than that. They treat you as a subordinate, and they'll start bossing you around and asking things of you that you shouldn't really be doing. Asking to do free this, I just prune those hedges. I need you to rake up all those leaves as well. Everything I do is billable. I don't do anything for free. This is how I feed my family, so people need to pay for my service, and it's as simple as that. The other thing I would say about the quoting mojo is another really good way to stay confident is to have someone to be close to someone in gyms with a business that's a lot like yours. So I've got a guy who I actually bought a lot of my mows from, and we talk to each other every day. So if I go and do a quote and end up in a situation where someone has kind of someone has left you feeling, people will. You're often shocked by people. People will ask you to do something, or they'll constantly be nagging about prices or trying to knock you down. And it's easy to get away from that if it's a small job, if you're quoting on smaller things. But when it's landscaping and you've put effort into it, then you do sometimes need to kind of enter into conversation. And it's good I always stick to my guns, but I do walk away thinking, I just can't believe that person. And just being able to ring up someone who is of the same mind as you and has the same philosophies as you, and just bouncing it off them and saying, you wouldn't believe what just happened to me, and just having them say, you did the right thing, you told them to get stuffed, you did the right thing, you've moved on, good job, well done. It gets you back on track. It's just a way of backing up what you're thinking. So it's an incredibly powerful thing having someone you can just constantly bounce your bad experiences off, because it stops you getting down about it and gets you straight back on the horse. It's a really powerful thing. You've got to find the right guy. You've got to find, because it needs to go both ways. It's almost like it's not a partnership, but it is it's almost like you're constantly mentoring each other. You're constantly sharing ideas, and you're constantly looking for the pat on the back and looking for helping each other out. And for me, having that has been an incredibly powerful thing. And it's got to be someone who shares your philosophies, and it's got to be someone who you really get on well with, and it's got to be a real friend. It can't just be someone who there's got to be equality. It can't be like someone's sort of always looking up to you, or you're always looking up to someone. You need to be working it out together. I think that's the important thing. So you've got to find the right buddy. For me, well, a gym's brand is something that's very strong. That's what I pay for. There's a lot of great benefits as well with gyms. There's the leads, and there's the support you get from your franchisor, and the meetings, and the discounts on insurance and all of that sort of stuff. There's some great things in that regard. But for me, it's just about the brand. It's just a really good, strong brand. And as far as the actual gym system goes, that's what it's about. It's about constantly evolving your business. If you're not constantly evolving your business, then the actual system is not really working for you. The brand is still working for you, but the system isn't. So if that's important to you, to be getting value for money out of the system, then you do need to be constantly evolving your business. And it's not a bad thing. It's having that. Sometimes you might just get bored with a place after a few years. So put it at the bottom of the pile, bring in something fresh at the top, and just keep evolving. That's my philosophy. That's what the system's there for, is to keep your business constantly turning over. When I started my apprenticeship, I was about 20, and we did a lot of work in the antique industry, restoring antiques and stuff. And it's very difficult to be taken seriously by people when you're younger. Some people some people are young, but they come across as very mature. Sometimes it's just hard to be taken seriously when you're young. But one thing I would say is, I feel like it's already difficult. So you need to arm yourself with things like knowledge. You just need to know everything. If you can walk into someone's garden and tell them what's wrong with their plants, and tell them how to fix it, and name all their plants, and have good advice for them, and come across as confident and knowledgeable, then your business will be far more successful than if you just kind of head in just to mow a lawn. I think if you look at quoting, there's there's a reason. Someone might get 10 quotes. They never go for the cheapest. It's never about price. It's about who they feel comfortable with, and that's the black art of quoting. It's about being the person that they feel most confident with. People generally, if it's an important quote, if I'm in a situation where I miss a quote that was important, I generally go back to the people and say, in an effort to benefit my business, would it be okay if I asked what got the other guy over the line? And if you ask in a polite, professional way, then people tend to say, oh yeah, no problem, Dave. The reason is that this and this and this. And it's all about confidence. And they seem to, more often than not, take the second most expensive quote. So they never take the cheaper ones. It's always the top 2 or 3 they look at. And they tend to take the person they're most confident with and forget about the price. So you need to have that. You need to be able to go into situations and make people confident in what you're selling, because that's what's going to get you the job. So if I'm quoting for a very expensive job, a more expensive job, and it's a job that I really want, then I tend to. The first thing is I try to deliver what I'm going to do in a very confident way. I try to be very precise about the way I'm going to do things, and I talk in great detail about how I'm going to do things and how that's going to make them last. Because I see a lot of people I see a lot of landscaping work that is only 2 or 3 years old and it's falling apart. Pavers are moving and retaining walls are falling over. So I go into great detail about how we're going to stop that sort of thing from happening. I try to let the clients know that I'm very confident in what I do, and so that they'll be confident in me. And I never back off. If I work out what I need for the job, and I stick to that price. If they say, if it's 7,500 and they say, oh, can you do it for 7? The answer is no, I can't. This is my price. These are all the things I'm going to do. That's where I stand on it. And even if I'm desperate for the job, it's about looking like I provide a professional service, and it's about looking like I came to this price for a reason, and this is the price you need to pay. And I've got other work, so have a think about it and call me back. And that tends to, if I get it, I get it, and if I don't, I don't. I mean, if it's all about if they're looking for the cheapest guy, then it's not me anyway. And generally, if you sell yourself right, they might call you 2 or 3 times to get that 500 knocked off, but at the end of the day, you get the job. So, and if you don't, then you were never going to. It's kind of like that. That's my opinion anyway. That's my philosophy. Yep.